guys, it's Leslie. Welcome back to our channel, Our Happy Place. I'm here today to talk to you about something to help you if you have children when you're in Walt Disney World. I've learned a couple of things doing this over the years about traveling with children to really help make the happiest place on earth the happiest place on earth. So I got a couple of tips for you. I got a bonus tip at the end, which is my favorite, so stay tuned for that one. If this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe down below, follow along on our family planning for Disney vacations, as well as all our other adventures. My first tip for when you're traveling to Disney with small children, school-age children, even older children when you get into the teen years, is to set realistic expectations about what your vacation could potentially look like. We all have a vision in our head of going to Walt Disney World, especially if you're a first-timer. We see everybody skipping down Main Street, holding their balloon, wearing their Mickey ears. And the experience can feel just that way, but you have to have realistic expectations when you get there. So you want to have expectations about what your day is going to look like, what the rules are going to be while you're on vacation. A lot of times we go into vacation overload and we go in expecting a whole bunch of things that aren't realistic. What you plan to do together as a group, things that are better for you to do separately, how much time you're going to spend in the parks. Accept the fact that it may rain. Don't get obsessed with the weather calendar, just prepare for what it is. So if you go in to the experience with a realistic set of expectations, it's going to make it that much more enjoyable. You're going to run into cast members who can't help every once in a while. You're going to run into other vacationing guests that maybe they're having a bad day and they're being rude. As long as you expect to remember that you're going to be in a crowded place with a lot of other people, and even though it's probably to the most perfect destination you could ever attend, everything's not going to go perfectly. So keep that in mind. Set your expectations reasonably. Don't be expecting everything to be perfect every second of every day. With that being said, to me, there's no place in the world better for a rainy day than Walt Disney World. So what? You get wet. I always tell my daughter, you're not made of sugar. You're not going to melt. Don't worry about it. My next tip for you when traveling with children is to make sure you set age-appropriate budgets for souvenirs. It's very easy to get overwhelmed by the sheer amount of merchandise that's available at Walt Disney World. You walk in, there are balloons, there's cotton candy, there are t-shirts, there are ears, there are toys, there are bath products, there's everything that you could imagine. And if you're driving, it starts the second you walk into your hotel, and if you get off the plane at Orlando International Airport, probably the first thing you're going to walk by is a Disney store or some store selling Disney merchandise. So there needs to be an expectation set about what the budget is for souvenirs. Now, with smaller children, a budget may not be dollars. A budget may be you can buy one small item a day, and it has to be realistic. So what we used to tell our daughter is you can get one thing a day, and it has to be price-wise reasonable, and we'll tell you if it's not, and it has to fit in our luggage. That would keep her from walking into the gift shop and saying, I want the biggest Mickey doll that they have in there that we'd have to strap into another airplane seat on the way home. For older children, ones who are starting to deal with money, you can switch to a money per day system so they can track smaller amounts of money, and then as they progress you can transfer to a total dollar amount of souvenirs for the week system, and they have to keep track of how much they've spent and how much they have left to spend. We find that the system is working really well with us. It prevents the constant I wants as you're walking through the gift shops, that we're knowing if we're looking at something, we're considering purchasing it, and that's the only thing we're getting today, or that's going to cost X, Y, and Z, and we're out of spending money. The other thing is if you're not into buying souvenirs or you don't want to spend a lot of money on souvenirs, set the expectation for that as well. So if you're going to bring souvenirs from home, and I know some people use like the Disney Fairy, and the Disney Fairy will come and leave a small gift for the children in the room every night as their remembrance of the day. If you're going to bring those things from home, make sure you set that expectation beforehand as well, so the children know what they're going to expect when they're walking into this highly merchandised environment. My next tip, plan on having family-specific personal care items available. That's going to be very different for each family depending on what your family looks like. If you're a family with small children or school-age children, you're going to want a stroller. Even if you have a child that's not using a stroller at home anymore, if they stopped using a stroller within the past 2 or 3 years, you may want to consider it for Disney. You're going to want to bring that with you, or you're going to want to find a reasonable rental service in the area. Make sure you try the reviews. You can rent strollers on Walt Disney World property. However, you cannot leave the parks with them. So when you have those tired children at the end of the night, you're going to be carrying them to a car or carrying them to a bus if you don't have your own stroller. So either bring yours from home or use a reputable stroller rental company. You can look several up in the area. There are a handful that Disney will allow to deliver strollers to the resort, so make sure you check to make sure that they can deliver for you. The other type of things that you want to bring is if there are comfort items that have to be slept with, if there are night lights that are needed at home. You're not going to have a night light provided in your Disney room hotel, so make sure you bring that with you. And the same goes for food. If there's only, let's say, one thing your child will eat for breakfast, chances are they are not going to have that at your hotel, whether you're staying on or off Disney property. Either bring that item with you or arrange to have grocery delivery service brought to your hotel. That's a thing, you can totally do it. I'll cover that in another video. But even though you can buy everything on Disney property, it doesn't mean you're going to be able to find the kind that you rely on, the kind that you need. If you have special allergies, skin sensitivities, you need certain type of lotion, bring all those things with you. Also, these personal care type stuff, you don't want to buy it like sunblock on property. It's very, very expensive. I think there's an understanding that you're going to buy it because you need it, and the markups tend to be really high on those things. If there's any, so think about your family, I guess what the moral of the story is, and go think about what they need through a normal week. They're still going to need those things in Walt Disney World, and even if you can buy them there, they may not be the type that you want, or they may not be an affordable price. So make sure you have that stuff when you're preparing to go, especially when you're dealing with small children. The older we get, I find the more flexible we get, but little kids, they're going to want their routine. If they're going to sleep in a stroller, they're more likely to sleep in a stroller that's theirs than those hard-sided strollers at the park. So bring personal use items, personal preference items for your family when you're packing. Plan for that ahead. My next tip, and this is an important one, but it looks different for everybody else. You need to plan breaks, particularly when you're traveling with smaller children. The property is immense. It's huge. You're going to find that you're walking, half a mile maybe to get to your bus stop at the resort in the morning before you step foot in a theme park. So you want to make sure you plan breaks. Now, for our family, that always looks like getting up early, going to the park. Then when the middle of the day heat comes, we stop and we go back to the hotel. We may nap, we may go in the pool, we may just stop for a quick bite to eat, play in the playgrounds at the resort, just some downtime outside of the heat and the overstimulation of the theme parks. If I know that some people have problems getting their children to nap, and particularly to get them to nap on vacation. So I think the more of the focus should be on resting as opposed to just sleeping, because sometimes the sleeping is not going to happen. We find the pool to be a really, really great place to go. It really brightens everybody back up, wakes everybody up, cools you off, and then you're refreshed, take a shower, go back to the parks for the evening, and you're ready to go again. I can't stress this enough. If you cannot get out of the parks because you're not staying close by, consider sit-down meals in air-conditioned restaurants. They're worth the money if that's the only place you have to escape the heat. Also, many of the theme parks are located really close to Disney hotels that have other restaurants where you can sit back and maybe get out of the theme park for a little while. So let's say if you're at the Magic Kingdom, you'd hop on the monorail, you could head over to the Contemporary and have a meal at the Wave, put your feet up, relax, cool off a little bit, and then go back to the theme park afterwards. So make sure you plan those breaks and plan ones that make sense for your family. If you don't have a child that naps at home, they might not nap at Disney, or you may be surprised. They may be so exhausted they fall asleep in the stroller and you just want to sit in a shady spot in the corner of the park while they sleep. Whatever works for you, but don't plan a schedule that's going to burn everybody out. It's not a way to have a happy vacation. Trust me, I did that a couple of times. I've learned, don't do it. If nobody's happy, the whole vacation's a waste of money. So take it slow, plan some breaks. So I mean, those are the biggest tips that I would say when dealing with small children going to Disney. You're going to set realistic expectations. You're going to, and I guess the other thing, set realistic expectations and make sure you enforce those expectations once you're there. Literally the first time I took my daughter to Walt Disney World, she sat on the floor in front of the Main Street Bakery and had a temper tantrum because I would not buy her a balloon. But after that temper tantrum was over and she knew that there was no balloon coming and that was not going to work to get her way, she did not have another temper tantrum ever again, actually, since we've been on vacation. So, and I have to say, when she had that tantrum, the Dapper Dans were on standby and asked permission when she was done chilling out to give her a sticker to pop her back up. And I was like, yeah, that's perfectly fine. And I really appreciated that they asked Mom before they just stepped in and did it. So Disney is really great about stuff like that. So you want to set those realistic expectations, enforce those realistic expectations. You want to make sure you have any personal use, personal care items that are particular to your family and are age appropriate. You want to set budgets for everybody concerning souvenirs. It's very easy to get overwhelmed by the I wants in Disney World because it's everywhere. They do such a good job at marketing. It's easy to just keep spending, and there's a limit. Everybody's got a vacation budget. Taking a break, absolute must. You have to take a break. If you try to power through, sometimes the teenagers are good at powering through, but if you have to power through, do it slowly. Make sure you're stopping, even if it's just sitting in the shade. Get off of your feet. Know your limits. And you know what, guys, sometimes if you're done for the day, just say, I'm done. Let's go back to the hotel. Let's get in the pool. Let's cool off. This is a vacation. It'll be the most exhausting vacation you ever have, but it's still supposed to be a vacation. And then for my bonus tip, plan some surprise yeses. Now, I've talked about expectations and budgets and no's and the overwhelming amounts of merchandise. So that being said, you're going to find yourself as a parent saying no often. You're walking through a gift shop. No, we can't have that. We can't have that. Don't touch that. That's not yours. No, 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 no. And vacation can just start to feel like a world of no. So plan some unexpected yeses. Generally speaking, for example, we usually don't buy balloons. It's not something we do. It's just not something we look at as a good investment. They end up in a landfill eventually. So every once in a while, when we've had a rainy day and we couldn't get on the ride that we had our heart set on, but before anybody's asked for it, we'll just take our daughter by the hand and walk her up to a balloon salesperson and be like, pick out a balloon. And she's as happy as can be because she didn't expect it. Nobody's saying no, and it's not an unexpected yes. Plan a surprise meal that maybe people are asking for, but you thought was outside of the budget originally. Now you've made room for it. Get everybody roped in on that. Plan some surprise yeses. I know this is probably going to fall on the moms of the group or the dads out there that are the planners, but plan some surprises. You're going to enjoy them as much as everybody else, and if you can have those, that's where you're going to get your really magical moments. The things that happen that nobody was asking for, nobody expected. When your expectation is reasonable, when you come up with a surprise yes, you're going to look like a hero. That's maybe when you're going to get your fairy godmother shirt, right? So those are my tips for Walt Disney World. I hope they're helpful when you're traveling with Disney or any theme park, any vacation experience, especially when you're traveling with children. I could make a video like this that's 6 hours long, but seriously, these are the top things. If you keep these things in mind, it's really going to help everybody have a fabulous family vacation. Hope you guys like this video. If you like it, let me know down below. If you've got more tips and tricks, share them with me. By no means have I learned everything I need to know about traveling to Walt Disney World as a family. So please share with me whatever you know. If you like this video, like, subscribe, and feel free to share it. Hopefully some other people that you're planning your Walt Disney World vacation with could get some use out of these tips also. Thanks for coming to our happy place. We'll be back with more planning tips. We're getting really close now, so stay tuned for more ideas, tips, and tricks for Disney and beyond the kingdom. And I'll talk to you guys real soon.